Hi guys, this is just a 15-minute flexibility routine, so welcome to class today. I'm so excited you're here to join us. So lots of times I'm out running or I'm in the gym doing things other than my traditional yoga practice, and it's important to always make sure I come back and I get my stretches. So let's just go ahead and we'll start in a forward fold. So we can have soft knees in a forward fold. Bring your chest all the way down to your knees and bring your belly to touch your thighs. And then we'll go ahead, bring your hands behind the back body and behind your calves and let your head hang heavy. Now shift the weight into your toes so that we bring our hips over our ankles. And we're just going to stay here, just letting the whole backside of the body soften. You can use your arms if you're feeling good to kind of hug the elbows in as best as you can. And if you can't get your hands onto the elbows, you can also just put them on your calves as well. Just play around and see where you're at with your flexibility. So feel free to find a little bit of movement in the posture. Maybe you'll be able to stretch some edges that you weren't really expecting. And then we'll go ahead, release our hands down, come into a half lift. So where we walk your hands a little bit forward, come up high on the fingertips, and then shift the weight into the toes so that your hips are over your ankles. So try to have a flat back as much as you can, or at least like a little bit of a cow face, so where you're lifting through the chest and rolling the shoulders down and back. And we'll go ahead, release your hands down, step your left foot all the way to the back of the mat, drop your knee down towards the floor, coming into a low lunge. If you have the range of motion where you can come up onto your knee, go ahead and do so. And you can take your hand and drop it behind the left hip, just behind the left glute and the left hamstring, and take your thumb and roll the hip down towards the floor, closing off the hip. And then take your hands, push it onto the knee, lift your heart up and back. So your hips go forward and down, and your heart goes up and back. So we're lifting through our chest. We're not necessarily cocking our head back, but we're lifting up through the chest and then back. So you can even work on trying to straighten your arms as best as you can. And if you have if you have the range of motion, go ahead and see maybe you can lift your arms all the way up towards the sky. And then slowly release your hands down, come into a half split. So go ahead, shift your hips back over the knee and then flex your front right leg. Inhale with a nice flat back, and then exhale, fold over the leg. Now press your heel and your left knee together. So we're taking a right heel and the left knee, squeezing them together, kind of creating a scissor-like motion. Now walk your hands over to the right side of the right leg. Take your right foot, roll onto the blade of the right foot, and swing your left shin out to the side, moving into an IT band stretch. So you're going to feel it all on the outside of the leg. The IT band is connecting your tuberosity, which is in the lower part of the leg, and your ischium, your pelvis. So again, you can stay lifted through the chest throughout this stretch, and then slowly walk all the way back towards the front again. Curl your left toes under and step to the front of the mat. We can hang out in our fold one more time. While we're here, let's go ahead, press your left hand down towards the floor. Inhale, lift the right arm up towards the sky, and soften the left knee. Your right knee is straightened, and maybe look at the back of the right hand. And then slowly release your right hand down to the floor. Inhale, lift your left hand up towards the sky. Soften your right knee, straighten the left leg. And then drop your hand down towards the floor. And then go ahead, step your right foot back this time. Drop the right knee down towards the floor and uncurl your toe. Walk your hands up to your knee, and you can take your hand and push it onto the left hamstring and the left glute, rolling the hip down towards the floor so that we could square off the hips. So your hips are going towards the floor. You could even take your hands and push your hips down towards the ground if you'd like. And then take your hands, interlace them and push them on the knee, lifting your heart up towards the sky. So lift your heart up and back, push your hips forward and down. And again, if you have the range of motion, maybe you lift your right arm up towards the sky. Maybe you take your second arm up, lifting through the heart. Again, trying not to cock your neck back through the cervical spine, but rather lifting through the sternum. And then exhale, fold down towards the floor. Shift your weight back So you can bring your hips over your knee and then flex the left foot. Inhale, lift through your chest. Exhale, fold over the left leg. Let's walk your hands over to the left side of the mat, roll onto the blade of the left foot, and swing your right shin out to the side, working our IT band. So you could have a soft left knee if it's really painful. We want to feel the sensation. We don't want to feel any pain in the leg. And now let's slowly come all the way back, curl your right toes under, lean forward and step to the top of the mat. Now let's go ahead, plant our hands all the way down to the floor, coming into all fours. So let's go ahead, lift your right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread the needle all the way down towards the floor. You can take your right hand at the top of the mat and push the floor away from you. Slowly bring your left hand back in towards your heart and lift your right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, drop your right hand down. Inhale, lift your left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, thread the needle. You could extend your right arm all the way to the top of the mat. So you're using your right hand, actively push the floor away from you. Bring your right hand back to the shoulder. Inhale, lift your left hand all the way up towards the sky. And exhale, drop it down towards the floor. Go ahead and bring your right knee all the way up to the right edge of the mat, coming into a pigeon pose. So my front shin is at a 45-degree angle. The right knee is coming all the way up to the edge of the mat. And I'm squaring off my hips. So try to resist the urge of falling back onto your hips in this position. Rather stay lifted through the hips, lift through your heart, and then exhale. Maybe come down to your forearms to see how that feels. If you're able to go further, you could come all the way down to the floor. And then slowly come back up. You can come back into your tabletop position and then go ahead, take your left knee, bring your left knee to your left wrist. Right ankle comes close to the right wrist. So again, if your front shin is at like a 45-degree angle, and then we're gonna roll into that right hip down towards the floor, squaring off the pelvis. Inhale, lift through your chest. So find some height in this position as well before we fold down. So finding the length into the spine, and then exhale, slowly come all the way down. You can come to your forearms, or if you're comfortable, you could go all the way down to the ground. Find your breath. If you feel sensation, actively inhale. Exhale, send the breath to the sensation. So we soften through the breath, and we find our length through the relaxation of a pose. So we're just letting gravity do most of the work. And then we'll slowly come on out of it. Let's come into a bound angle where we bring our feet together and our knees apart. So this one, we're actually going to bring our feet all the way forward a little bit. It's a little bit more of a diamond shape to begin with. And then if you have it in you to drop your elbows down to the floor, go ahead and then put your hands onto your feet. So your feet are out in front of you, and then go ahead, fold. Maybe you could put your forehead into the arches of your feet. You're going to feel this stretch into the low back a little bit more. And if you're tight at all, you could have the ability to use your arms to pull your chest further on down towards the floor. And then slowly come on up. We could bring our heels in and take your elbows. Go ahead, push your elbows all the way down onto the knees. Again, find that nice tall spine. Inhale, lift, and then exhale, fold into the posture. So try to keep a nice flat back. Lifting through the heart. You could press your knees down towards the floor. This is a nice hip opener. Make sure you breathe into those sensations. And then we'll slowly come on up. Okay, just a couple of more. We're gonna go ahead, bring our legs out wide for a wide leg fold. So you could scooch forward as much as you feel comfortable, and then find a nice tall spine, and exhale, fold all the way into that. So maybe come down to your forearms. If you're more flexible, you could come all the way down towards the floor. We'll stay here just about a minute. I'm gonna come down to my forearms. So find all the spots in your body that you might be carrying tension. Maybe you're carrying tension in your forehead. Maybe your tongue is stuck on the top of the roof of your mouth. Just go ahead and find all the places that you could soften. Maybe it's not even in your legs where you might be feeling the stretch. And we can slowly come back up. Drop your right elbow to the inside of the right foot and reach your left arm all the way up overhead. If you're able to catch the inside of your foot with your right hand, go ahead and do so. Maybe you have your left hand come to the outside edge of the foot. Now if your hand can't quite make it that far, you could also keep it on the back of your head, and at the same time keep rolling your shoulder open towards the sky. So find your little inner smile, reminding yourself that you're making your body healthy, you're avoiding injuries by taking the time to do all of these stretches. It feels so good. And then we'll slowly come all the way up and over. We'll do the other side. Bring your elbow on the inside of the knee. Maybe you catch the inside of your foot, reach your right arm all the way up and overhead. If you are able to catch your foot, what you can do is push your left elbow into the knee, continue to roll, opening your right shoulder up towards the sky. You could also do that with your hand on the head. You're just going to get a little bit more leverage when you're able to put your hand onto your knee. And then we'll slowly come on up. Let's swing our legs all the way around. We're going to come into a frog pose. So we're going to bring our knees out wide and try to keep your hips in line with the knees. So you don't want to sink back into the posture too far, but rather stay forward into the posture and have your ankles go just below your knees. So you flex your feet, and if you can, come all the way down to your forearms. And if you have it in you, could go ahead and drop all the way down to your belly. So this is an intense hip opener. Just go as far as you feel comfortable. It will open in time. You don't need to worry about getting all the way there just yet. Just be patient. It's really just about putting in the time and the effort. And as long as you guys are doing some of this flexibility work, it's going to come little by little by little. Let's just hold this for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your feet together to begin with. Walk your hands up, and you can slowly start to bring your knees together. Wow, that hurts. And then we'll slowly come all the way down onto your glutes, and then just windshield wiper the legs left and right and left and right. Now come all the way down onto your back for a half bridge. Bring your fingertips to touch your heels, and make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. So you don't want to have them too wide like this, for example, in your bridge pose. You want them just hip distance. And then start to press your hands into the floor. Lift your hips up off the ground. If you're able to, maybe you could roll one shoulder underneath the back body, and maybe you could roll the other one. Interlace all 10 fingers, and see if you could press the heels of your hands tight together. Continue to press your hips up towards the sky. And then we'll slowly release your hips one vertebrae at a time all the way down towards the floor. And then come into a legs up the wall. So just where you have your feet up towards the sky. You could use a block here if you wanted to have that little extra lift. But from here, we're going to go ahead and come into a plow pose. So if you can, go ahead, start to lift your hips up off the ground. See how far you can bring your toes towards the floor. So maybe you're gonna stop around here. Use your hands to actively press your hands into the floor as you lift your feet all the way up overhead. Maybe you're able to get your feet all the way down to the floor one day. So really what this is just a forward fold upside down. It's kind of nice. It helps to get into the low back a little bit more when you have your legs up over your head. And again, just find the softness in the breath. And then slowly roll one vertebrae at a time all the way down with control. Bend your knees, bring your hands to the outside edges of your feet, coming into a happy baby pose. So we're bringing our thighs to the outside of our ribs, and then we'll press our thighs down. So in a happy baby pose, you want to have your full cervical spine down on the ground. So you want to kind of gaze forward a little bit, trying to get the back of your cervical spine down onto the floor, and then try to resist the urge of lifting your hips up. You want to press your hips down towards the floor. So with that, we have the full spine down on the ground from our coccyx all the way to the cervical spine. Now from happy baby, you have a couple of options. You can stay here, or if you want to get a little extra leg stretch, you could go ahead. Maybe you could straighten one leg out. And then bend that leg back in, and then work the other side. Go ahead, straighten your other side. And then come back in, and if you want, you could go ahead. I'm gonna put my peace fingers around my big toe. Go ahead, see if maybe you can straighten both legs. Maybe one day you'll be able to bring your feet all the way down to the floor. And then slowly release your feet all the way down to the floor. Let's bring our feet together, the sole of our feet together. Open your hips wide or your knees wide. So one more hip opener. And then roll over to the side of the mat. Let's come up and finish with some twists. So we're going to take our right heel at the left hip, and we're going to take the left foot at the top of the knee, and I'm going to press the sole of my foot down into the floor. Take your left hand behind the back body. Inhale, lift your right arm up towards the sky. Exhale, take your right elbow, press it into the knee, and then look over your left shoulder. So inhale, push your back hand down into the floor, finding length in the spine. Exhale, twist, gazing over your shoulder. And if you want to do a little extra, you can always try to straighten your arm, find your knee. And then go ahead and change sides. What's up is now down. And again, reminding yourself, if you can't get your both hip bones down onto the floor, go ahead and straighten out that leg. So if you need to, go ahead, straighten the bottom leg. Otherwise, bring your right foot at the top of the left knee. Inhale, lift your left arm all the way up towards the sky. Exhale, bend the elbow, push it into the knee, knee into the elbow, and then gaze over your right shoulder. So inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Maybe you lengthen your left elbow or your left arm. Find your knee. And then slowly come on out of it. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. So welcome to the flexibility routine. I hope you guys come back for some more. Let me know if you have any comments, if you want to see more in a different routine, or what your feedback is. I'm happy to entertain requests. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and hope to see you guys next time. Bye guys.